Thank you so much for staying with us, everyone. Let's go into some more critical issue about the running of government in Nigeria. 36 states, yes, that's what we have in Nigeria, plus the Federal Capital Territory, where the government of the nation resides. That's the political territory of Nigeria. But then, out of those 36 states, many of those states cannot even pay salaries of workers. There are three different interventions from government, federal government that is, to some of the states. One came as what they call bailout. Another round came again. There are a lot of controversies about some of these monies being disbursed to the state to be able to service their debt, deficit in salaries, emoluments of workers. A lot of outcry out there when workers take to the street to protest what they say is government failure. This time around again, we've heard about a Paris Club deductions and repayment to help the state in a lot of issues. But three different interventions in 1 year. What hope do these states that have been declared insolvent, that cannot even shoulder their own responsibility based on the federal allocation they run to collect in Abuja every month and their own revenue that is so meager? That is the major question on the lips of so many people who are critical, and that's the issue we brought to the table tonight on the program. Let me quickly show you some of these staggering revelations about the budget and the state of affairs of some of these states. First and foremost, a group of these states, you will say perhaps they are the richest in terms of budgetary allocation or revenue or whatever you may put it. Lagos State, Akwa Ibom State, Rivers State. If you look at their budget in 2016 as against the 2017, it gives you an understanding of some of the differences that we might have seen. But flip the page and look at this group of states, which some people will say they perhaps don't have as much muscle compared to the first set of states that we have. These states, some of them were declared insolvent based on their earnings, revenue, and what have you. Today, a lot of issues are on the table. Can these states survive 2017 without further getting into more trouble? Who else can discuss this matter than an economist, of course, that everyone respects in this nation? Mr. Bismarck Rewane joins us on the program. Many thanks for coming on the program. I remember that we spoke about the insolvency of some state. This is a political program, but the issue of governance and policy come on the table, and we need the benefits of your knowledge and understanding of this issue to give clarity on some of this matter. 2017. Does it look bleak for some of these states that are hitherto insolvent?
2017 is going to be better than 2016. But how much better is the question? 2, how sick were these states? And if they were on death row, if they were virtually, dead men walking, then there's nothing you can do to actually make them recover. But to look at fiscal capacity within the states, you've got to break it down into 3 distinct segments. One is the resource gap. Do the states have those resources? Maybe an oil-producing state, right? Do they have fiscal capacity? When you take a look at the fiscal profile, do they have the internal generated revenue profile that can make them earn money? And thirdly, there's a capacity issue and governance. So what you're seeing, what you're seeing today is a manifestation of, 1, a resource gap, which is not too much of a problem. Also, there's fiscal rascality, there's fiscal management issues, there are fiscal profile, 1. And then thirdly, there's the governance issue within the states. And so when you put all 3 together, you find that almost all states in 2016 were worse off than they were in 2015. And I can guess that in 2017, almost all the states will be better off, depending on whether they understand the magnitude of their problem, 2, the urgency of, and then the prognosis as what to do, what the outcomes are likely to be.
Mr. Rewane, let me quickly show you and viewers the federal allocation, which is a major part of the monies that go into the state. For example, look at how it has dropped every month from July up until the last one that was gotten to December. It's dropped every single month. It's not improved.
No, but there's a reason for it.
Okay.
Oil production was down. There's disruption. Oil prices came down. But today, at this January 2016, the price of oil came down to $27.81 a barrel. Today it's 55. It's 100% more in January 2017 than it was in January 2016. So we had that decline in the first oil price shock. Then we had a production shock. So what we had was an oil windfall initially, now followed by a major oil shortfall. Now all of these things are going to get together. So historical trends tell you something, that this is what has happened. But then the federal government also had to support and bring back all of this Paris Club and all these bailout things to assist the states overcome their immediate problem. But what is more important is to realize that the federal government of Nigeria is spending 34% of its total independent revenue to service debt. When you have treasury bill rates effectively at 22% per annum, then you're spending all your money on debt service. And you must understand something. Nigerian public must understand the difference between spending and investing. When you spend money, that is, you use it for consumption, use it for things. When you invest money, you are actually accumulating capital.
What we bring back
gross capital formation, which will give you a multiplier effect on income. So we shouldn't confuse spending for investment.
But I mean, some of you have agreed that we need to spend our way through this recession.
When I say spending is being used in the terms of investment too.
Okay.
Spending, loose spending and consumption spending.
But what are we doing right? What are we doing in Nigeria? Are we spending rightly or spending?
No, what you're doing is that you are moving from 20% capital expenditure to 30%, almost 40%, which means that you want to invest, you want to accumulate capital. But there's also a lot of mad spending taking place, which needs to be corrected. What is budgeted this year is 7 trillion naira, but it's actually $26 billion compared to $31 billion spent last year. So there's been, in dollar terms, there's a contraction. You talked about 5,000 naira being spent on with Mr. Bolaji Abdullahi, who articulated issues very clearly. But what you didn't realize is that 5,000 naira during the manifesto was being prepared was $35. 5,000 naira today is $10. $10 comes to 30 cents a day. 30 cents a day. That's nothing. No, you can't even drink a glass of water with 30 cents.
That's horrible.
Yeah, and that's supposed to be a palliative.
Because I mean, if you look at this, the state of the states in Nigeria in 2016, one that will make anybody who love this nation almost to shed some tear or two. Most states could not pay workers' salary. We saw a massive labor strike and protest on the streets of Nigeria. Some of these states were even declared insolvent. Several months owed in wages, and so federal government offered to give bailouts and help the state offset some of the financial burden. States get Paris Club payment from federal government. But all of these things, we may not see them happening in 2017.
No,
and it doesn't look like some of these states have even learned from when we say we need to diversify when the federal allocations are not coming. Do they really look prepared for the
there's capacity, states have to be led. But what is strange is that the states that don't have the resources are the ones that are better managed, because there's a resource curse. We find that some states, there are some states, oil producing states, whose salaries, their salary bill, there's one state I know in particular whose salary bill is over 6 billion naira a month. That amount it's paying in salaries is more than the total allocation of two other states. And this state's population is nothing near the population of those two states. So I cannot understand how on earth that state, which has 55,000 employees, spending about 7 billion naira on wages. That's a governance breakdown and a failure. So we've got to look at the.
What's the hope of that kind of state in 2017? If things don't go right.
No, the state will face the reality. They would have to. They are now making the adjustments that are required. Everybody's making an adjustment. Government is making an adjustment. Corporates are making adjustments. Individuals are making adjustments. You will see that nobody will tell anybody before they will have to make the right adjustments to do the right thing. But whether they can take the medication that is required, the economic medication, in the dose that is required, and face a sense of urgency, and at the same time grow, because this country is going to come out of the recession this year.
Really?
Oh, definitely.
Is that a prophecy or a reality?
It's a reality, because your oil production, just getting your oil production back to say 2 million barrels a day, brings it to about almost 0.5% growth. So that's positive growth already. That you're out of recession.